Five Nights at Freddy's is finally coming to theaters, but there's a whole lot of lore that the film will have to cover in just a couple of hours. These are the terrifying events that we're hoping to see depicted in Blumhouse's long-awaited adaptation. One of the earliest tragedies in the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline is the infamous Bite of '83. A boy is accosted by bullies at Fredbear's family diner in 1983, with his head shoved into the gaping mouth of an animatronic by Mike Afton. The animatronic's mouth malfunctions and slams shut, killing the boy and resulting in the diner shutting down. Flashbacks in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 suggest that the victim is Mike's younger brother, Evan Afton. The Bite of '83 not only establishes Freddy Fazbear's infamous legacy, but also places the Afton family at the heart of the animatronic carnage that will continue over the coming years. The games don't make it clear if the child's death is what causes William Afton to snap and become a serial killer, but it does mark a turning point for him. The Afton family and the small army of animatronics they built their family business on are never the same in the wake of the tragic accident.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for disappearance, death, or dismemberment.
Sometime in 1983, around the time of Mike's death, William commits his first reported murder outside Fredbear's diner. The spin-off game, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, reveals that Charlotte Emily, the daughter of William's business partner Henry, is murdered by William outside the restaurant. Charlotte's ghost goes on to possess the Puppet, an animatronic introduced in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Made violently restless by the circumstances of her death, the puppet can only be placated by listening to her favorite song playing from a music box. William goes on to murder an additional 5 children in June 1985 while wearing the Spring Bonnie costume in the pizzeria. He is represented on screen as a blocky purple humanoid, earning him the nickname the Purple Man. It is heavily implied that William's group of victims are killed after being forcibly shoved into the animatronics and painfully crushed to death. William murders 5 more children in 1987 before largely vanishing, evading the law once again. It's only a matter of time before the franchise's most murderous figure likely gets his incredibly dark backstory portrayed on the big screen. Between his more hands-on killing sprees in 1985 and 1987, William opens the restaurant Circus Baby's Pizza World in Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. As opposed to his previous ventures, William programs the animatronics at Pizza World specifically to hunt and murder children. In what makes for the franchise's most gruesome element, the animatronics code compels them to scoop out the innards of their victims, leaving just their empty skin husks behind. Through this process, William seeks to harvest a supernatural substance he discovered from his past victims after they began haunting the animatronics. As with most violence in Five Nights at Freddy's, the carnage here is more implied than shown, but the implications themselves are horrific. William effectively creates a makeshift factory to murder and dismember children, which may be a step too far for the PG-13 movie to cover. However, the detail does take William's villainy to its lethal apex, while underscoring exactly how dangerous the animatronics really are. More importantly, the events of Sister Location explain exactly what happens to William's 2 remaining children. Heading up the bloody mayhem at Pizza World is an animatronic named Circus Baby, presented to the public as having an ice cream dispenser on her torso. In reality, Circus Baby can open herself up and pull her prey inside, crushing them to death as she maintains her cheerful facade. William advises his daughter Elizabeth to stay away from Circus Baby, but instead, Elizabeth disobeys her father and becomes another one of its victims. Elizabeth's death is an especially pivotal moment in the Afton family saga. It's the Bite of '83 that sets the stage for William's descent into murderous madness, and it's Elizabeth's death that escalates the main story. The tragedy prompts William to close Pizza World, which leads to the opening of the restaurants from the first 2 games. The protagonist of Sister Location is Mike Afton, now an adult after inadvertently killing his brother with the Bite of '83. The game follows Mike as he ventures into the abandoned Pizza World to rescue his sister Elizabeth after learning her spirit possesses the animatronic that killed her. This proves to be a trap, and Mike is lured by Circus Baby to the room where the restaurant's victims were dismembered.
You're in the scooping room. Do you know why they call it the scooping room?
Mike is killed. His innards are scooped out by the animatronic Ennard, who proceeds to wear his skin and pose as Mike outside the restaurant. Mike's death effectively wipes out William's bloodline, but William's story doesn't stop there. Ennard's victory is the goriest moment in the franchise, with the details no longer left to the imagination. If there was ever a moment that may be too brutal to appear in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Ennard killing Mike would be it. Which, of course, is precisely why the gruesome scene should make it into the film. The original Five Nights at Freddy's references an incident known as
The Bite of 87?
taking place after Williams sold the Freddy Fazbear license. The management of the resulting new restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, gains 4 of Williams' animatronics, but they don't know that they're haunted by Williams' victims. During a birthday party, a child approaches one of the animatronics and has their head bitten, severely damaging their brain but not killing them outright. The incident temporarily shutters Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, giving the restaurant a less than family-friendly reputation. The Bite of 87 is, without a doubt, the most notable piece of lore in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. It's referenced heavily in the first 2 games, and considering how important it is to the narrative, it's virtually guaranteed that the accident will occur in the film. Only mentioned in the games but never actually shown, an on-screen version of the Bite of 87 could finally answer one of the series' biggest questions: which animatronic was really responsible? Like many villains before him, William gets his comeuppance from the instruments of death that he constructed to carry out his murders. Sneaking into the pizzeria to collect the supernatural residue from his victims left in the animatronics, William is ambushed by their ghosts. He's stuffed into a spring body animatronic and crushed to death in the same manner as the killings he carried out. Just like those he murdered, William finds his spirit haunting the animatronic he has killed in, and he takes on the nickname Springtrap. Just as deadly after death as he was before, William's spirit goes on to haunt other animatronics in later games after Springtrap is eventually destroyed. His eventual death at the hands of his own murderous creations feels both cathartic and poetic, and it's fitting of his crimes. If there's anything that could set up a potential sequel, William's monstrous rebirth as Springtrap seems like a perfect possibility.
You may not recognize me at first, but I assure you, it's still me.
William's numerous victims take the lethal pain he inflicted on them in life and share it with others while haunting the animatronics. After relocating to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the animatronics develop a reputation for coming online at night and mistaking anyone they find as a fellow animatronic outside of their suit. This results in them taking the hapless bystander and stuffing them into a spare animatronic suit, killing them just as William did with his targets. The murderous cycle leads to a rotating set of night security guards at the pizzeria, as they either die, get fired, or resign after learning the truth. The Game Over screen in the original Five Nights at Freddy's game makes this horror visible, with the failed player character's eyes gruesomely dangling out of a spare suit. In order to be taken seriously, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie needs to rack up a body count, and thanks to the games, we know that the animatronics will make good on that expectation. The earliest presumed victim of the haunted animatronics in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, outside of the Bite of 87, is Mike Schmidt's unnamed predecessor. Nicknamed Phone Guy for the phone messages he left his successor, the man is heard being overwhelmed by animatronics in his 4th message. The 5th and final message left for Mike features garbled demonic voices, suggesting that Phone Guy's employment was cut brutally short. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie has the chance to reveal what exactly happens to Phone Guy during his ill-fated final shift. At the very least, maybe Phone Guy can finally get an actual name, as he makes his cinematic last stand. The Five Nights at Freddy's games don't rely on gore to deliver frights. Instead, there's inescapably mounting tension, often punctuated by jump scares. The most suspenseful sequence in the original game occurs when the player runs out of power during their shift. As the generator fails, the pizzeria plunges into total darkness. Security cameras cease functioning, and the doors open wide. Taking advantage of the situation, Freddy himself taunts the players with a birthday song before attacking them. Though not physically brutal, some variation on this scene should certainly make an appearance in the film, likely during its climax. The Lights Out sequence showcases what Five Nights at Freddy's does best, as players hold their breath hoping Freddy doesn't strike. In a darkened movie theater with surround sound, this scene would have the potential to be incredibly terrifying, as the characters try to hide in the shadows. Five Nights at Freddy's lives and dies on how well it delivers suspense, and this scene could translate beautifully into live action.